All right.
Rather than the leader of Latin.
Enunciate, John.
President Reed, how are you?
I guess 97.
Yeah. I do. So, I just don't see this stuff.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No, I don't think that. Is it like that?
And if
Every right thinking individual.
Is that about that? This must be the one they just no, that's I don't know.
I think this year we're going to get the turning of the colors.
Oh, I guess I can.
Oh, you're fine. Well, I think with the rain, that's one of the advantages, right?
Yes,
It
yes.
really, that's really, I mean, it's last week. It just
Yeah, he taught me.
I remember grading geography.
I heard that. My daughters have done the same.
I always had the key, so
Right.
like, you know.
I did the same thing to my kids.
I know. How you doing, Ross?
All right. How are you?
Doesn't sound like it.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
John says the same thing.
Well, as long as you keep busy.
Where do you want us?
It is.
You want to sit?
No meetings.
They're not
Little
exactly
bullshit.
chairs, but they work.
And Jenna? And hopefully I might be going back to Cuba this summer.
Oh, really?
USAC.
I'm going to try to get out. I mean, I still. stay
Welcome
in
to the
touch.
dedication of Davis Grove. We'll start with some words from our president, Dan DiBiasio.
Thank you, John. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It is a pleasure and an honor to be asked to say a few words of welcome to everyone at this dedication of Davis Grove. I did not obviously know Professor Davis personally, but I've learned quite a bit about him from colleagues, some of whom are here, particularly those that planned this event. And I've done a little archival sleuthing, so that has helped me gain an appreciation and understanding of Professor Davis as well. So 3 reasons that I am glad to be able to be before you and say a few words, and that first and foremost is who we are honoring today. Obviously, 31 years at Ohio Northern University, a distinguished career, multiple decades, devoted to his discipline, devoted to our students, devoted to the university. Not only an outstanding teacher, but an outstanding scholar, and even administrator, served as a department chair for, I think, eight years or so in the department. Dr. Freed is here, and I would acknowledge one other thing I learned was that we established in 1990 an Excellence in Teaching Award. And I think among the first recipients of that award, of the 2 that were honored that year in 1990, was Professor Davis, one of the 2 there. So that was great to read as well. But what I was most intrigued about was the fact that a couple of years after he was here, he was asked to deliver an after-dinner address at the Woodrow Wilson Foundation to aspiring college teachers. And he wanted to shatter a stereotype the stereotype he wanted to shatter was that being a college professor was easy. You know, those summers off and all of that stuff. And he talked about how difficult the tasks were, but how rewarding the tasks were. And from what I've learned, he made them look easy. And when you do difficult things and make them look easy, what you're usually called, as Bernard Malam had used as the title of one of his novels, is a natural. And it seems to be an apt title for Professor Davis. He was a natural at what he did. And that leads me to the second point I wanted to make, and that is who is honoring Professor Davis today. And that is many of his colleagues who are here with him, and particularly those that organized and planned, because they too are naturals. They make doing what they do look easy, and they too have been devoted to this institution for multiple decades. So thank you, John, thank you, Ellen, and thank you all who have helped make this day possible. And finally, I'd like to make sure that we honor how we are giving tribute to Professor Davis by enhancing one of our assets at Ohio Northern University, and that is our wonderful park-like campus. I understand that Professor Davis had a passion for landscaping and the outdoors, and to add more leafiness to our leafy campus seems very, very appropriate. I also learned in that archival sleuthing that he enjoyed maple sugaring, and that was good to learn because we had something in common. He likes maple sugaring and I like maple syrup. So that's what happens when you marry someone from Vermont. You like maple syrup. But it is a pleasure to be here to participate in this very appropriate ceremony and dedication for an outstanding scholar and teacher, Professor Robert Davis. Thank you.
Allow me also to welcome you to the dedication of Davis Grove, a memorial to Robert R. Davis Jr. and his long and masterful service to the university and its students. Before I begin my remembrance of Bob, I would like to draw attention to those who helped to bring this project to fruition. First of all, let me thank President DiBiasio, who approved the designation of this portion of the university as Davis Grove and pushed it forward to completion. We wish to thank Tim and Faith Spears of Kenton Marble and Granite, who generously engraved the monument in front of you at no cost. Then let me call attention to Mark Bricker, the university grounds manager, who, with his staff, quickly and efficiently removed the dead tree that stood over there, went to Michigan to obtain the tree that is planted there, and planted it and installed the monument within less than a week. Mark is demonstrably a can-do guy. Finally, I would like to thank those who purchased the trees and bushes that comprise this grove. First of all, Paul Logston, who contributed the black oak at the front of the grove. Ellen Wilson, Ray Shuck, the burro, right behind me. Ellen Wilson, the chinkapin oak, right behind Rob Alexander there, as well as the sawtooth oak that you see planted in front of us, the new tree, as well as the stone for the monument itself. Rob Alexander and Mike Laughlin, who joined together to buy the shingle oak, which is the second to the last one down there, the one that's still green. Terry Kaiser, who bought the sweet gum, which is over on the tree lawn between the parking lot and Gilbert Street. Well, I don't know, should I thank myself? I don't know. I contributed 2 swamp white oaks, the sugar maple down there by Gilbert Street, the last in the group, and the Washington hawthorn and bushes behind the power plant sign. Together, we provided the trees that make up this grove, but our fond memories of Bob inspired us to do it. Bob Davis was an outstanding teacher and an influential scholar. As some of you may know, and as Dan repeated, I don't know, this bears repeating, doesn't it? In 1990, he was one of the 2 initial recipients of the University Teaching Excellence Award. But skillful teaching characterized his entire tenure at Ohio Northern from his arrival in 1969 until his retirement in 1997. Dan, I gave you the wrong number. It was 28 years that he was here, but that's still a long time. We all know that. Students appreciated his energetic style and profound knowledge of the material. Bob's teaching evaluations speak volumes about the regard in which the students held him. While his evaluations were usually the highest in the department, his grades in aggregate were always the lowest, sometimes by a full 1/10 of a grade point below the next lowest member of the department and well below the college average. Those of you who have lived and died by student evaluations will appreciate this happy and rare combination of popularity and rigor. Let me add, because people are talking about it, that Bob had a stutter. And, well, everybody I knew was ready to wait for it, because when Bob talked, it was worth listening. And so nobody rushed Bob. But at the same time, he mastered that stutter for his students. He did not stutter in class because he wanted to make sure that the students were not distracted by anything as he was delivering instruction to them. Bob was great. Bob took technology into the classroom well before most faculty members in our college and kept current with it throughout his entire career. He was a pioneer in that regard. He was an exceedingly talented instructor of United States history with special strength in antebellum America up to the Second World War. He taught political science courses early in his ONU career, and in fact held the title of Professor of History and Political Science. And of course, he taught history all the way through, but about halfway through, he undertook to teach geography, for which there was a solid demand, especially among education students who needed it for certification. His geography courses became so popular, notwithstanding his well-known grading history, that they routinely closed within 2 days of the opening of enrollment. We had to hold back seats just to get our history certification students into them. Bob was a noted scholar. His research was meticulous. His analyses were sharp. His prose was immaculate. I never sent out an article or delivered a paper without his critique for as long as he was in our department. His work on the ill-fated presidency of James Buchanan located him among the best scholars of the period just before the Civil War. However, his work on the black nationalism of the teens and 20s of the 20th century was, especially on the great Marcus Garvey, was foundational. Bob's work in this area made him the go-to guy for the American Historical Review for books on black nationalism. Bob was the sort of remarkable colleague who gets things done by taking the time and effort to forge consensus with his colleagues within an academic department, not always the simplest thing. I recall that Bob did not talk a lot at departmental meetings, but we always waited for him to speak when he was ready to step into a discussion of hard issues, some of which were quite contentious, as well all of you know. It's how departmental meetings can be. He always guided us gently but firmly to a place where all of us were willing to stand and act. This is a remarkable talent in any academic setting, but it is particularly noteworthy in a combined department of history and political science, two fields that rarely communicate with each other at other institutions. In fact, there's sometimes a kind of a rubbing between the two. I always found that strange because, and I was surprised to learn it from my colleagues, although I must say at my first job, the history department was on one side of University Hall and the political science department on the other side of the hallway. This is at the University of Nebraska in Omaha. And I don't remember ever seeing one of them in our department, and I don't remember any one of ours going over to their department. What's that all about? But at any rate, I didn't quite understand this, I don't know, disregard or maybe even animosity. In the department at Northern, the department at Northern was the most respectful and effective department that I've ever encountered in my career. And it had historians and political scientists. And Bob was the reason. This persistent and persisting amity was Bob's gift to our department. It allowed us to become one of the most collaborative and hence productive units at the university. As the monument in front of us here so rightly states, Bob loved trees. He and his wife Frida and their children Greg and Jane lived in a parcel of woods between Ada and Lima. Bob reveled in the presence of those trees and all that lived within them. I remember in particular the little red squirrels that can only be found in stands of trees of a certain size in this area. Bob planted fruit trees. He constructed a 3-level fountain with fish, which my daughters would enjoy as Bob and I sat on the back porch and talked. Famously, he tapped his sugar maples every spring and cooked the sap down into syrup and sugar, which he shared with his friends. The sugar maple at the west end of the grove reflects my vivid memory of Bob standing over sap in the sharp March air, making sure that it didn't burn and making sure that it came out just right. That was Bob. He did what was right and good. He helped others to do the same. I miss Bob. I am grateful that the university has designated this place and these trees to his memory. They will be here long after we are gone, as is only meet and just. I mean, that